terrorist attack in the city of Jerusalem. That's where we start this midweek edition of CNN Student News. Thanks for watching. Two Palestinian attackers with a variety of weapons entered a synagogue early Tuesday. They killed 4 Jewish worshippers before police arrived and killed the 2 attackers. One police officer was injured and later died. This was the deadliest terrorist attack in Jerusalem since 2008. The city is holy to 3 major world religions: Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. And Jerusalem's status is a major point of dispute between Israel and Palestinian Arabs. After the attack, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called for national unity against the terrorists and against the Palestinian leaders who, he says, spread lies about Israel. Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas denounced the attack. But when you see news like this, it's disturbing. Where else could this happen? Here's some perspective from CNN's national security correspondent.
I realize we come at you almost every day with a new terror threat or an update on an old terror threat, and I understand how that can be overwhelming. So I want to talk to you the way I talk to friends and family about what they should truly be concerned about and what they shouldn't worry about so much, what shouldn't keep them up at night. Consistently, U.S. intelligence officials and counterterror officials tell me that the 2 main groups to be worried about are AQAP, this is Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, a group that's very skilled and has attempted to get explosive devices onto airplanes. You'll remember the underwear bomber in 2009. They're still trying, and they have a master bomb maker who's very skilled at hiding explosives in things like personal electronic devices. The other group is the Khorasan group, which we just began to hear about this year. This is an offshoot from Al-Qaeda, a number of senior Al-Qaeda leaders who are now basing themselves in Syria and, according to U.S. intelligence, plotting attacks on the U.S. that may be in the final stages. Those are the 2 main groups, and again, like AQAP, their goal is to get explosive devices onto airplanes, possibly bound for the U.S. We've talked a lot about ISIS, and ISIS does potentially pose a threat to the U.S. mainland because it's done such a good job of attracting foreign fighters to Syria and Iraq, and the worry is that those foreign fighters will go home someday and may carry out terror attacks when they go home. But the best information now is that ISIS is more focused on the fight in Syria and Iraq, so that's a threat that we may have to face someday, but that is not acute today. Now, beyond AQAP and the Khorasan group, I'm told that the most likely terror attacks to happen on the homeland are so-called lone wolf attacks. These are people who are inspired by extremist propaganda and carry out an attack on their own, perhaps with no communication whatsoever with the group back home, whether it's a Khorasan group or Al-Qaeda. It makes them harder to track, but it also limits the kinds of attacks that they could carry out, how ambitious they can be, how dangerous they can be. Now, together, what this gives the intelligence community to face is a terror threat that's more dispersed, a bigger number of groups, more spread out, and therefore more difficult to track, but possibly less ambitious in their attacks than Al-Qaeda was, with particularly the attacks on 9/11. To help you sleep at night, I do want to end on a statistic. This is the total number of terror deaths of Americans on U.S. soil going back to 2009. As you can see, in the single digits, except for 2009, that was the attack at Fort Hood in Texas. And I will show you these numbers. This is the number of deaths from lightning strikes in the U.S., also going back to 2009. 3 or 4 times as many every year than terror attacks. And then here, deaths from car accidents, many hundreds, even thousands of times more than terror attacks. It's not to say it's not a serious threat, terrorism, but statistically, you're very unlikely to be hurt in a terrorist attack on U.S. soil.
See if you can ID me. I'm an island nation that stretches about 1,500 miles. You'll find me in the Pacific Ocean east of the Korean Peninsula. With more than 37 million people, my capital is also the world's most populous city, Tokyo. I'm Japan, and I have the 3rd largest economy on Earth.
That's why it matters that Japan's economy has slipped into a recession. It's so large that experts say it could slow down the global economy. The technical definition for a recession has to do with gross domestic product. When a nation's GDP decreases for 2 quarters in a row, it's in recession. Japan has an incredible amount of national debt. It's more than twice the size of its economy. To increase the government's revenue, Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe had planned to increase the national sales tax next year. But this week, he delayed those plans because a previous increase in sales tax kept people from spending money. That was another drag on Japan's economy. Decreasing wages, an aging population, and weak demand for goods and services are also helping keep Japan's economy from growing. We're snowmobiling our way across the American North on today's Roll Call. In West Allis, Wisconsin, we're recognizing the Wildcats of Frank Lloyd Wright Intermediate School. Good to see you. One state west, in the town of Eagan, Minnesota, hello to the Panthers. They're watching at Black Hawk Middle School. And in Billings, the biggest city in Montana, we've got the Golden Bears wrapping things up. Shout out to Billings West High School. We've talked about how four-year college degrees aren't for everyone, and they don't all pay off. According to Salary.com, degrees in psychology, fine arts, and, yes, communications don't always give you a good return on a college investment. Degrees in tougher fields like chemical engineering can mean a better job with better pay, but few degrees are cheap. So we're continuing our series on affording higher education by looking at skill-specific programs.
We are so excited to present to you today our new travel app.
It's graduation day at Dev Boot Camp, the end of a 19-week program that turned these students into one of the hottest commodities in the current economy, coders.
And so today they'll be presenting these ideas that they built from scratch.
For so many years, it was the four-year degree, but a lot of people are saying, wait, I need something more. A general studies, 4 years, isn't going to give you an edge in this tech-based economy.
If you're going to college to get a job, the majority of students graduating from college either wish they had attended a different program or wish that they had an additional skill set.
The traditional four-year system, while I really value the social experiences that I had there, didn't necessarily...
You say social, you didn't say academic.
Yeah, I feel pretty unprepared by it. And that was kind of the gap that Dev Boot Camp was here to fill, was to endow us with skill sets. The things that we pack into 19 weeks here are things you might learn in like 2, 3, 4 years at university.
At $40,000 a year.
Yeah, $40,000
Do you think this is a good value?
100%. The majority of people graduate with jobs that pay on average like $90K or so. For a $12,000 tuition, I think that's worth it.
As student loan debt in America surpasses $1.2 trillion and millennials account for 40% of the nation's unemployed, skill-specific programs like Dev Boot Camp are becoming popular alternatives and add-ons to higher education. Let's talk about the investment. You know, it's an investment of time and it's an investment of money. And we're talking about a cohort that has already invested probably a lot of money in an education. How is this different?
We really focus on outcomes, and we focus on students being able to find careers when they finish this. It's very, very clear that when you finish this program, the goal is to be able to be a junior web developer. And we get you to that point very quickly, and it's really clear what you should do next and how you can get there.
My friends from college, the majority of them are unemployed. We all have student loan bills. I have staggering student loan bills. I don't know anyone without any debt, personally.
I wanted to take charge of my own education. I knew that if I graduated with a CS degree at the university, I wouldn't know any web development.
You wanted to really just focus in on this?
Yeah, this is what I want to do, so why waste my time? Right now, a degree is kind of like a high school diploma. A portfolio means a lot more. If I can show an employer I can build this and I can do this, then I think that'll, land me the job.
Okay, a company called Hendo claims it's invented a hoverboard, a real, actual board that hovers while you stand on it. Who better to test one out than skateboarding legend Tony Hawk? He recently took a hoverboard for a spin, and a spin, and a spin. It showed off both its similarities to and differences from a wheeled skateboard. One big difference is the price. While a traditional board costs around $80 complete, the hoverboard is $10,000. Which could leave your head spinning. But if you're bored of your board, you have more than room and board, and you want a board that soars over boards and over floors, a board that hovers covers floors over which it hovers, could leave other boarders floored with their boards aboard the floor. I'm Carl Azus, it's time to air out.